Claire Martin, jazz singer. Like many people, you started off listening to jazz, I read on your website, through Ella Fitzgerald's songbooks. It sounded like when you were a teenager, and I'm wondering why you weren't listening to Madonna and Wham.
No, I was listening to Madonna and Wham, and I was listening to Ella Fitzgerald's songbooks when I was much younger because my mum is an Ella fanatic, so I grew up in a household where, you know, luckily they had good taste in music, and there was always Ella Fitzgerald, Sarah Vaughan, Frank Sinatra, you know. Mum and dad music, I thought about it then, but now I've sort of made my career doing that music. But I was listening to the Rubettes, Kenny. I liked all the, you know, Duff pop acts. Even Madonna hadn't come out then,
right?
You know, yet. So I did do all that as well.
So it's quite kind of.
I still listened to pop music. Yeah, it was just I just ended up when I was 19 and I became a professional singer. I ended up doing jazz. It was an accident, really, I guess, but I knew all the songs because of my mum.
Yeah. It's often the way, isn't it, that you pick up stuff from your parents and it catches.
But I knew it was good music. It wasn't like, oh, mum's embarrassing stuff, you know.
Yeah.
It was good stuff, and that's, I guess, a testament to how great this music is, because generations, you know, it goes on and on, and it's still brilliant and fresh and terrific. And Ella Fitzgerald was, as you know, so prolific. She did the songbook for mostly all the major composers. So, you know, you couldn't get away from it really. If you listen to Ella, you were bound to bump into that songbook series, which was, I think, in the prime of her singing voice, sort of mid-50s, terrific.
It's amazing. In each of those, I think they were re-released on CD. Well, they're always being re-released, but the amount of songs on there, they're just. Every single staggering amount of brilliant stuff. Yeah. I mean, that was the height of the Great American Songbook. That was the, you know, that was the pop music of the day. Well, I've got a quote from your website here, and I just want your thoughts on this. You say jazz isn't an inaccessible art form that's too difficult to understand. When do you think it moved from being the pop music it was back with Sinatra and Ella Fitzgerald to something which maybe some people do regard as being...
I guess that's a good question. I guess when it came out of the sort of songbook heyday, that era, late 50s going into the 60s, when it was getting a little bit more progressive and it was getting a little bit more, getting freer, I guess. John Coltrane springs to mind immediately, perhaps some of the later Miles Davis stuff, where people started to be, perhaps it was too complicated for them. There was no song, there was no story to follow. The big band days have gone. It was something new. This is just before, and also I guess pop music was then the Beatles as well. So jazz was finding its niche somewhere else, and it was after the bebop days when I think when it gets a bit free, people get a bit worried, and it loses its structure for people, and it's a hard listen, some of the stuff from the 60s, you know. But then again, it's also wonderful. We've got the Gil Evans stuff and sort of. All the wonderful stuff Miles Davis is doing, we just mentioned that, and also all the sort of bossa nova coming through as well as Stan Getz. So you have to dig deep in the 60s to find jazz, because it was being completely mullered by the Beatles and everything else that was happening in the 60s. I mean,
but I suppose it had that influence then on hip hop and, like you say, the Latin beats and funk. I guess that had seems to be a bit of jazz in there, maybe the chord structures and.
I mean, it's difficult to know. I was born in 1967, so I was right in the sort of hippie era. But I think that I've read many singers talking about when it really changed and when it got very difficult for singers, from Tony Bennett to even Ella was doing the Beatles covers. You know,
which I was never keen on.
No, I know. I don't suppose she was either. But she still made them sound great. But it was around that time when it got lost, and it went perhaps into an era of that kind of much more, we're talking about that free movement where it's quite difficult. But people think that jazz is highbrow now. I think that people think you've got to know what's going on to enjoy it, and I think that's wrong. I think it is intelligent, challenging music. It's all about improvisation, as you know, and every night is different. So you have to be prepared to work a bit. You're not going to be able to sing along straight away, which is pop music. But I think people think, you need to know about it, and you don't. You just need to want to feel it and get involved. And some of the songs I'm singing tonight are from pop writers, I guess you could say, just with a sort of more jazzy feels. Maybe some Joni Mitchell or, you know, Stevie Wonder, Katie Lang. All those singers could be jazzy. You know. But people, I think, are worried that it's either going to be 30 minutes of solos that's going to lose them, or a sort of old trad granddaddy thing. And there's a big thing in the middle.
Absolutely.
That's
I mean, are there any sort of singers that are in that kind of pop field that you?
Well, Joni Mitchell. Joni Mitchell is great. She can sing jazz. She can turn her hand. Katie Lang as well, sing beautiful standards.
She's got an incredible
I'm
voice.
trying to think of these young girls now. No, I can't think of any. But why would they? I mean, Alison Moyet, she's another. I mean, where she did Love Letters and also Old Devil Called Love.
Yeah.
That was a good example of a pop singer having a hit with a standard. But I'm not saying they couldn't sing them. I'm sure they could. Some of the singers, I like Adele. What happened to her?
Yeah, that was huge for sort of 12 months and then gone. Does that say something about the music industry, or does that say something about jazz? Or?
I don't think this is anything about jazz at all. It's pop scene. I mean, you know, you've got this, classical music's very establishment and very well supported by the arts foundation and by the you know, money thrown into that kind of world, and then pop is an industry. Jazz doesn't really fit in either of those echelons. It's kind of like a romantic underdog, lost. And we need to get some more funding for it. And I'm sure if we could bring it more into the public domain, people would love it more. I don't think people get a chance to hear it.
Well, no, because I mean, even Radio 2, they'll play Nat King Cole from time to time.
Radio 3, who I'm very proud to say I've worked for 10 years, puts about 10 hours a week out, and that is the most that a radio show puts out. 10 hours a week, you see.
Not a huge amount.
Very late at night as well, mostly, sometimes.
So if there was a 16-year-old listening to this now and you had one or two tracks that you could recommend to go out, jazz tracks, you must listen to this.
Oh dear.
I know it's a tough
one. Well, I mean, for melodies and absolute beautiful execution and wonderful swing phrase, and we've talked about Ella Fitzgerald because she's terrific, but you know, there's a singer called Mark Murphy who I absolutely adore, Kurt Elling, who's terrific, wonderful jazz singer. There's so many, Betty Carter, Anita O'Day, Sarah Vaughan. I mean, you literally just have to start ploughing your way through it. But to hear Ella swinging with Louis Armstrong is great. There's nothing better than that, really. So perhaps start with the songbooks and have a plough through, and then venture out to perhaps more not adventurous singers, but perhaps more singers that rely on improvisation a bit more. Even more so than the scat that Ella did. You know, somebody like Betty Carter was a little bit more free range, shall we say? But just get out there and enjoy it, and
I think Ella and Louis is a good call.
Ella and Louis.
Summertime would probably be mine, but
That's the one, isn't it?
Yeah. Right, I've got some final quick fire questions for you.
Go on, quick fire.
Ella Fitzgerald or Judy Garland?
In what capacity? Both. Want them both.
Okay. Frank Sinatra or Michael Bublé?
Frank Sinatra.
F major or F minor?
Depends what the song is. F minor.
Okay. Saxophone or trumpet?
It's so difficult. Depends, but saxophone's really like the voice, so I guess trumpet.
Okay. Madonna or Wham?
Madonna.
And finally, this is a bit cheeky, Claire Martin or Claire Teal?
That's so cheeky. We both have our place.
Of course you do. All right, Claire Martin, thank you very much.
That was great.
Good fun.
What's that? Is that what you're reading?
That's the radio one.
Great. Claire Martin or Claire Teal.
I really appreciate that.